Fight fans, welcome to the PBC podcast, brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions with your host, Kenneth Bouhairie and Michael Rosenthal.
Welcome everyone to the PBC podcast. I'm Kenneth Bouhairie.
And I'm Michael Rosenthal, editor of USA Today's Boxing Junkie.
Thanks for tuning in this week because we have a lot to discuss, lots of info, lots of tidbits. Just because the year is almost over doesn't mean PBC is slowing down. Mike and I will break down last weekend's action, of course. Also, we've got renowned trainer Derrick James joining us to give us updates on Errol Spence, Jermell Charlo, Marcus Browne, Frank Martin. I mean, he's also going to offer his expert opinion on Sunday night's big PBC SHOWTIME pay-per-view featuring boxing superstar and pound-for-pounder Gervonta "Tank" Davis defending his world lightweight title against a hard-hitting Davis-Cruz. You guys are going to have to forgive me. My voice is almost shot and the fight's not even here yet. Plus, we've got two more experts in Mike and I to analyze that fight. So without further ado, let's jump right into the PBC fight of the week. It's a special Sunday as PBC presents a special SHOWTIME pay-per-view. Gervonta "Tank" Davis, the pound-for-pound superstar and three-division champ, putting his undefeated record and world lightweight title on the line against a dangerous young contender in Davis-Cruz. Mike, let's kick this one off with the essentials.
Okay, here we go once again. Davis, 25-0, 24 knockouts. Cruz, 22-1-1 with 15 knockouts. Obviously, Tank is 5-0 in his last five with 5 KOs. Cruz is 5-0 also with 1 knockout. Last fight for Davis was 11th round TKO over Mario Barrios, June 26th, this past June. Cruz outpointed Francisco Vargas also this past June. Davis has a 96% knockout ratio, which is one of the best in the sport. Cruz, 63%. Davis has fought 96 rounds, Cruz 111, and Cruz is only 23 years old. Davis is 27 years old. Davis turned pro 2013, Cruz 2015. Davis is a southpaw. Cruz fights from an orthodox stance. Davis will actually be looking down on Cruz. He's 5'5.5", Cruz 5'4". Davis has a 67.5-inch reach, 63 for Cruz. Big advantage there for Tank. Tank's from Baltimore, and Cruz is from Mexico City.
Well, interesting on the height, new experience for Tank,
Right.
fighting someone shorter than. I wonder how that'll play out. What challenges does Cruz pose for Davis?
Well, he lives up to his nickname, Pitbull, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He just comes at you relentlessly with bad intentions. He throws a lot of punches, physically strong guy. He could also rough up opponents, if you know what I mean. That's never easy to deal with. He can actually box maybe better than people realize. He's been winning fights by decision, so he's doing something right in that regard. All in all, you'd better be ready for a dogfight against Cruz, though, or you could be in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like his career arc so far, and he's been really, really impressive his last 3 fights or so. But he's going up against one of the best fighters in the world in Gervonta "Tank" Davis. What makes Tank so special?
I'm not sure anyone in the sport matches his combination of natural gifts, skill set, and power. Those are the 3 things. If you have all 3 of those things on a on a 1 through 10 at a 10 level, which he does, I think you're a really good fighter. Plus, he's a southpaw to boot, which makes him even more dangerous than a guy from an orthodox stance.
Yeah.
The power stands out. Obviously, he's also ridiculously quick and has a really high ring IQ. It's obvious that he's always thinking about how he's going to destroy his opponents as he's doing it. He just always does. Show me a weakness in this guy. I think the only thing that could stop Davis is himself. He just needs to stay focused, and maybe moving up in weight will take a toll to some degree. I'm not sure. He had to work really hard to beat Barrios at 140, and I think part of that was the weight. As things stands now, though, I think that he's on a path to the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned focus. We've got a late substitute, not too late, but nevertheless a late substitute in Davis-Cruz. How does that affect Tank?
Well, this happened like almost a month ago, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think that's more than enough time to adjust to a new opponent. Rolando Romero had pulled out, was removed, is a taller and longer guy than Cruz and probably a better boxer, but he's not quite as aggressive as Cruz. So there are differences, but I think Davis is going to be fine. He will have had plenty of time.
What about for Cruz though? What does the switch mean for him?
I would say the same thing, probably. Cruz will have had enough time to prepare in terms of strategy and sparring and such. I'm not sure what kind of shape. I couldn't even guess what kind of shape he was in when he took the fight. That could have an impact on his preparedness, depending on where he was at the beginning. But I have a feeling that he sort of hit the ground running and he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I believe so too. I think he might have been even prepared for a fight himself when he got the call. What does Cruz need to do in order to win?
Well, he's gonna be himself, an uber aggressive guy who throws a lot of punches. He's not gonna suddenly change because of Davis's power. That said, I gotta think his trainer will have told him to avoid being reckless. If you fight a guy like Davis without regard to what's coming back at you, you just won't survive. I'm guessing we're gonna see Cruz pick his spots maybe a little bit more than usual, and that could work for him. But I think overall, you're gonna see the same guy you've seen in his past fights.
What about Tank? What does he need to do in order to win?
Yeah, Tank just needs to be Tank. Be patient. Don't panic in case Cruz just goes bananas on you like he did against Magdaleno, if you recall.
Oof.
Right?
Yeah.
I doubt he'll do that. I mean, that would just be suicide. That'd be like jumping off a cliff. That would be like the dumbest thing you could possibly do. I think Davis is going to sit back. Like I said, he's really smart in the ring. He's just going to sit back and he's going to counter everything that Cruz throws at him. And the Mexican is going to be there to be hit. I think Tank will also have to be defense minded because Cruz is a heavy puncher. And as I said, he's relentless, but I think Tank's just going to be Tank and he'll be fine.
Yeah, dangerous fight for both guys, really. Who are you picking and how do they do it?
As far as just like matchups go, I don't think this is the best matchup for Cruz. I think a brawler is generally willing to walk into fire to land his own punches, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I just think the fire is going to be too hot for him in this fight. Just much too hot. Cruz is gonna be walking into the biggest punches he's ever experienced. And even if he backs off, which could happen, Davis is such a good boxer that he'll still dominate the fight. I think Cruz's only chance is to hurt Davis, which I don't see happening. I'll add this. It's one of those fights that's going to be an absolute blast to watch. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
When you have two guys that are so this aggressive and this powerful, it's going to be really fun as long as it lasts. I'm going to say Tank by an 8th round knockout.
Okay, I like that. I mean, I think, look, Cruz, like you said, Cruz is going to do what he's going to do, and he's going to attack. I wouldn't be surprised if he hurt Tank early. I think Tank's probably going to need a couple rounds to find his rhythm, begin boxing from the outside, and I think ultimately he'll start catching Cruz coming in, start getting into his body. The body shots and the counters probably take its toll and wear Cruz down. Tank TKO 10. So we're on the same page there. By the way, real quick update on the standings: 30, 10, and 3 for both. We're coming down the home stretch. We'll see what happens. Now, in the co-feature, the towering Inferno, 6'6", undefeated Sebastian Fundora takes on veteran Sergio Garcia in a WBC world title eliminator. It's a true 50-50 fight. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think it's an interesting matchup. We know what Fundora brings. He's going to be all over Garcia from beginning to end. That's what he does. Doesn't really use his height. He just goes after you and beats you up. Garcia is a bit of an unknown, but from watching videos, doing a little bit of research for this, he appears to be a good, well-schooled boxer and pretty tough guy. He's also busy. He picked apart Ted Cheeseman over in the UK, for example. And I think Cheeseman's actually a decent fighter. That told me a little something. Fundora is a big step up for the Spaniard. I'm not sure he has the power to keep Fundora off him, which could make for a fight that ends inside the distance.
Well, in your opinion, what does Garcia need to do in order to win?
Box. Again, he has good skills. He's a good athlete, it looks like, too. It's possible that he could stay on his bicycle, stick and move, and frustrate Fundora. That's possible. He might be tough enough to handle him. Garcia is actually, as I mentioned, is actually also very busy from what I've seen. He'll just have to be careful about how he delivers those punches.
What about Fundora? What does he need to do in order to win?
Just keep doing what he does. Keep coming, keep punching, including those body shots that are just brutal. And I suspect he's going to land more and more of them as the fight progresses and just wear Garcia down. And if Garcia gets on that bike, Fundora needs to avoid chasing him around the ring. That could not go well for, it's possible that wouldn't go well for Fundora. I think he just needs to patiently cut him off. Just, with that motor of his, just keep coming. I think that's going to work in his favor.
I get the sense I kind of know not only who you're picking, but how you're picking him to win. But I got to ask, what's your prediction?
I think Fundora is going to overwhelm Garcia at some point. I think Garcia is going to be competitive for a while, but I think he's going to overwhelm him, wear him down, and stop him. I'm going to go with Fundora KO 9.
I like it. I like Fundora by decision here. I think he's going to use his length to box from the outside and try and step in and land some shots. But it's catch-22. He likes to get in there and fight, but he's hittable when he does so. So doing that will probably cause him some issues here, but not enough for him to lose on the cards. Now we've got another terrific fight on this show, a 10-round middleweight bout. Longtime contenders Sergey Derevyanchenko and Carlos Adames moving up to 160. Mike, what's your take here?
First, it'll be nice to see Derevyanchenko in the ring again after 14 plus months away. I think we might forget how good this guy is. He almost beat Daniel Jacobs and Gennady Golovkin. Some people actually thought he did beat Triple G. And more recently, he was competitive against Jermell Charlo. This guy might be like a major star if just a few more things had gone his way. And Adames is both good, a good boxer, probably the best fighter from the Dominican Republic, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So this should be an entertaining fight.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. What does Derevyanchenko need to do in order to win?
Just do his thing. He's an excellent, seasoned boxer. Really knows what he's doing in there. He can be aggressive, but it's always in an intelligent way. And he's almost impossible to deter. He's a little machine-like in that way. He's a tough guy. He just needs to be patient. Also, take advantage of the opportunities, and he'll probably wear his opponent down.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. At least I expect that to be his game plan. What does Adames need to do to win?
Adames has ability. He was an outstanding amateur fighter, and he has power. 16 of his 20 victories have come by knockout. I think this is going to be a difficult fight for him, though. Derevyanchenko knocks out guys at this level, guys just below the Jacobs and the Golovkins and the Charlos. Adames will have to fight the perfect fight, I think, to win this fight. He'll have to stick and move, not exchange too much inside with Derevyanchenko, and he'd better be in great shape because Derevyanchenko is going to push him hard.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you like to win here?
I think of Derevyanchenko as one of the better fighters in the world, and he hasn't won a fight in more than 2.5 years. I'm guessing that he's a hungry guy, and we know how good he is. I think he's too good for Adames. I think he's going to use intelligent pressure to wear him down, land more and more hard shots as the fight progresses, and stop him around the 9th round. I have all my fights, I'm predicting late knockouts, but I think that's going to happen here too.
Yeah, I like Derevyanchenko here on points. I think it's now or never for him against a younger, fresher fighter. I don't know if he'll be able to put him away. I think he'll, need to knock off some ring rust, but I do expect him to pull this off and make one last run. One other note. The televised opener will feature what should be a fun featherweight battle between Eduardo Ramirez and Miguel Mariaga. Can't wait for this card. And it's time to bring in our guest this week. He's going to help break down the main event for us, arguably the best trainer in the game, currently coaching 2 unified world champions, and is also our unofficial insider and analyst, none other than Derrick James. Derrick, first things first, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was quiet, peaceful. Spent a little time with my family. Didn't have to go to the gym because I'm in training camp with Marcus Browne, so we had to work.
Now, did you check on your fighters to make sure they weren't stuffing themselves while you were away?
Well, I was with Marcus. So
okay.
I believe Frank was there, and Errol really doesn't eat a lot for Thanksgiving, so it was okay.
Good. That's good to hear.
That's like the most dangerous holiday for a fighter. I never thought about it till just now.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to, we train on holidays, so we don't necessarily take off. So we keep working.
Right. Of course, of course. So from Thanksgiving to boxing, we've got a big fight on Sunday night. Davis versus Cruz. Do you plan on attending that fight?
No, I'm not going. I can't leave for camp. I'm in camp.
Right.
Can't leave.
Right. Give us your thoughts on Tank Davis. What do you think makes him so good?
I think that first of all, I think that he grew up in whatever adversity he dealt with as a kid. I think he takes that in the ring, and it helps him with his IQ and to be able to battle and fight the way he fights. I mean, he's very intelligent. You don't see it, but he's very intellectual. He'll pick a spot and hit a guy with a shot that you didn't see coming, like the uppercut he caught Santa Cruz with, or just like he's very determined. He's not discouraged with being behind on the scorecards. He's really self-motivated. He believes in himself, and you see it in every fight.
Yeah, definitely. What about his opponent on Sunday night, Isaac Cruz? What's your take on him?
I watched him fight, man. He's a fighter. I mean, he comes some big shots. He's a fighter. He comes in there to bang and to fight. I think that he might be the smaller guy in this fight, but I think that it may not change him. So I think he's going to have to find a way to try to think his way through this, because you have a guy who's trying to set him up.
Mm. Is there an added danger, you think, for Tank with Cruz kind of being a late substitute? I mean, he only got this fight about a month ago or so.
No, I think that it is an adjustment to make, but I think that with that length of time, I think that it won't bother him. I believe that he'll be okay, because he's very smart. I mean, he's trained to be in the ring with different kind of guys, and it's funny, but this guy throws shots kind of like Rolly did, but he's not as. I mean, but he's more skilled, and he's more. His punches are sharper than Rolly's are. So I think that really is not such a big adjustment, other than I think the guy may be a little bit shorter than he is.
Yeah, that is interesting. Is there one thing you think Davis needs to watch out for in Cruz?
I think that he needs to watch out for the overhand right and the left hook, because he throws that a lot. And he throws it like with trying to knock you out on every one of those shots. He's a fan-friendly fighter. He's the kind of guy that people really want to watch and people really want to see, because he's going to come to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, for as long as it lasts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Style-wise, how do you expect the fight to play out?
I think that Cruz is going to be himself. I think Cruz is going to be aggressive. He's going to try to possibly smother Tank's punches so that he can't really generate much power on him. But I think that won't help, because I think Tank's able to generate power and shorten the shots up and be able to work him on the inside. But I think that he'll probably set a couple of traps, and he'll work and find a hole in between the aggressiveness of Cruz. I believe that Cruz, his aggressiveness is his power, his strength, but I think that with the defensive abilities of Tank and for him to be able to see through the punches, I think that he'll be able to work through that and possibly get a stoppage.
Well, I was going to ask you your prediction. I guess you just made it.
Yeah, I think that Cruz it's hard to top a guy who throws so many punches. So, I mean, I think unless Tank can control the distance, he's going to be behind on the scorecard. But I think that it makes it more difficult for Cruz to get to him. But if he doesn't do that and he fights him on the inside, I think that he'll be behind. So if you can't control the distance, you can't control the amount of punches that Cruz is throwing. But I think that he'll find a hole and he'll get a knockout. I hurt the guy. He's not going to let the guy get too far ahead of him to where he can't catch up.
Interesting. Now, we saw you and Errol Spence last week. We always see you guys together, DJ and EJ. What is the latest with Errol?
I mean, he's doing good. I just finished training him about an hour ago. Oh. He's doing well. He's preparing for a fight. He's preparing to fight We don't know who, and we don't know. It's like a timetable, maybe somewhere March or so, but we don't know who, and don't know really where. But he's getting ready. I mean, I was talking to him today. He was telling me how much he weighed, and I just said that before camp starts in January, he'll already be in shape, so which will be beautiful. So it's great.
That's great. So he's been keeping himself in shape all this time.
Yeah, without a doubt, he's been working because even before the last fight, he never really took off. Before the Pacquiao did, he never really took off. So when camp started again, he's already in tip-top shape. So I mean, just work on the strategy and all about working on the game plan.
Now, so I'm assuming it sounds like everything's okay with the eye right now, right? Or is that still an issue? Or
no, the eye is good. We just haven't sparred. I'm just being more cautious myself. Me being like, they said it was good. It was a go November 1st. So I'm just like, you don't have to ease into this thing, you know. So we may spar a little bit in December just to kind of work out the kinks.
Wow.
And then by the time January starts, it's on.
Now, you said you don't know who, but is there anyone that Errol is targeting?
I think that, I mean, he is the guy, and he only wants to fight champions. So it's only two other guys in that predicament. So, you know, one of those two guys.
All right, I like it.
The WBA seems to be trying to block a unification fight with Yordenis Ugas. What do you make of that?
I'm just not hearing it, but I think that before they had an agreement for him to fight Ugas, so I don't know how they're gonna be able to get out of that deal. You know, so I don't know how. What's the deal with that one? But I think that you'll see possibly that fight if that's what he wants. And because I don't see how they can get out of it.
That seems like
they're allowed.
Yeah, seems like the natural fight to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah.
Now, we saw reported that Jermell Charlo may face Brian Castano in a rematch next year. Would that be the fight you want for Jermell?
You know what? I always say that I want for them what they want for themselves. So I think if that's the fight for Jermell, that's what I want for him. I want him to be able to kind of close that book, close that page and close that book and beat this guy, move past him, and go get whatever's else out there for him. So I mean, I think that'll be the fight for him, and you'll see a different Jermell Charlo, a different fight altogether.
Well, you kind of led me to my next question by saying a different Jermell Charlo. What can he do differently in the rematch to leave no doubt this time?
I think that he has to be. If you look at the fighter in, I won't get into it because I'm pretty sure Castano listens to this, but I'll say that. I mean, I just think he has to be himself. Be Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo that he's been for the last 10 fights. Be that guy. Show up and be that guy, and you'll have a good night.
All right.
Castano's a good fighter, though, isn't he?
I think he's a good fighter. I think that he's a very determined and motivated fighter. But I think that the fighter that he was in that fight was the fighter that Jermell let him be. So I think that if Jermell would have taken more of the initiative and kind of controlled it, the pace and everything, I think that it would have been a different fight from my perspective because I saw how he reacted when Jermell hit him with shots. So I think that had he a bit more in the middle of the ring and boxing him out there, I think that it would have been a different result.
Well, now really looking forward to it. So you're also working with Marcus Browne, who will be fighting unified light heavyweight champ Artur Beterbiev in December.
Yeah.
How has training been with Marcus?
Man, Marcus has been great. I mean, it's been great because I love to teach. Really, I love to teach. I love to strategize. I love to work on things with guys and kind of see them light up when they learn something new or they learn something that they think can help them be beneficial. So I mean, it's been great. Every day has been good. I mean, it's tough, it's hard. He's a bigger puncher. My shoulders are, killing me, but it's like it's good, man. I can't wait to see. Better be able to big challenge, and we're looking for the big challenge. I mean, you cannot say that he's not fighting the guy because supposedly he's like the boogeyman of boxing. So I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah. That's sort of my next question. Tell me what you know about Beterbiev and what's made him successful.
I think that his determination, his toughness. I think that he's very determined, and his fitness level is what pushes them over the top. I think that guys go into a fight thinking they'll be allowed to fight their own pace, and he's not allowing them to fight their own pace. He's pushing them to fight his pace, and I think that if they do well, if he doesn't get them out early, he gets them out later because of the pressure and the pace that he pushes is just probably too much for the guys. So for me, I'm going to fast pace. I'm keeping them determined, making them be able to fight the whole round, because my key is to be able to fight the whole round. That's what I believe in, not fighting the spots, because you can't depend on winning a fight like that. I think you have to keep the guy occupied. I think you have to keep him on balance. I think that you have to let the judges see that you're in control.
Mm. What attributes does Marcus have that you believe can lead him to victory on December 17th?
Marcus is very athletic. I mean, so what I do, I just take what you do good, and I do my best to build a strategy around that. I mean, I lean towards your strengths. So I mean, I'm gonna push you towards every strength that you have. I mean, whether it's your speed, if it's your athleticism, if it's your intellect, if it's whatever, I'm gonna push you towards every aspect of your speed. But at the same time, I'm going to work on what you can't do well also, so that hopefully you'll be a complete fighter the night of the fight. And so I think the Beterbiev will be very tough. He's very determined. It was funny, when we did the press conference, I thought for some reason he was 16. I knew he was undefeated, but I didn't know what his record was, right? I thought it was like maybe he went the distance twice or something. I mean, I don't know.
Nope.
And then it said 16 over 16 knockouts. I'm like, oh, okay. So right move to the press. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but so that it's a challenge to me to be able to help a young man. This is our first fight together. We've been training for like maybe 3 months, possibly 2.5, 3 months since September. So so basically 2 months, and it'll be 3 months altogether. And I think that's amazing, man. Just to help him and see how he's coming along, and how every day he's like learning, and it's great. So we just go out and hopefully that I know Beterbiev is gonna be tough, so we have to go out there and be our best.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if Browne wins, I think you'd be the first trainer.
Wait. We have to change
when Browne wins, that's what you have to say.
When. I do not live my life on an if. No ifs. Making no wish for life, it's always win. So win.
Okay, so for the purposes of this interview, when Browne wins, you would be the first trainer with 3 unified champs all at the same time. Is that something you've thought about? Because that'd be quite an accomplishment.
I mean, I think that it was never a plan. I just always said I want to be the best that I possibly can be, and having 2 champs with unified titles, and now the 3rd coming up in the next couple of weeks. It never was a plan, but it was like, I guess that's part of me saying I want to be the best I can be, and that is being the best you possibly can be. So, I mean, I think that making history is beautiful. I mean, because it's like, it means that you were here even after, this is all said and done. I mean, could it ever be done? I mean, I don't know, but we're going to enjoy it, and my job is to make sure I keep helping these guys be the best they can be, and just keep prevailing.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Now, a win over Beterbiev could also mean that Browne puts himself in line for a fight against Canelo Alvarez. Do you think that's a viable option for Canelo? Is that something that Marcus is, cognizant of, that there could be a big fight ahead after this one?
I think that there was one of his sparring partners that mentioned that. So he was like, I really want him to win because I want him to fight Canelo. If one of his sparring partners said that. So I think that he put it on his mind about a couple of weeks ago. We haven't mentioned it since, and it had been mentioned since that day. But I think that, you always think about, we deal with what's in front of us, and we smile about the possibilities of what's to come. So I think that Canelo fight is a smile. But not so much, you don't worry about it to the fact that you forget about better be at.
Right.
And that you just smile and think about it. And after this fight, what's the possibility? Because he's on to do big and better things. I think that maybe he'll possibly try to unify, the light heavyweight titles, or maybe he won't. I don't know. But we'll see.
Speaking of Canelo, we've seen talks that he may move up to cruiserweight or light heavyweight, maybe Jermell Charlo or David Benavidez. What do you make of all that? Who would you like to see him fight, or who do you think Canelo should fight?
I think that Canelo, it's funny, he's the guy who can fight really who he wants to fight, but I think that he's at the Mayweather status with choosing an opponent. But I think that I would like to see him fight Jermell Charlo. I think that, or David. One of them maybe back to back, have a big year, go out with a bang. I think that, moving up to cruiserweight, that's good for him also, man. He's a guy that's obviously going, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And so, he's going to probably top every record there is a top in the history of boxing. If he goes up to Bridgerweight and cruiserweight and heavyweight, I think that'd be Bridgerweight. So he moves up and he keeps beating these guys, and that's amazing.
Indeed. You also have a fighter who looks to be a future champion, Frank Martin. What's the latest with Frank?
Frank is doing good. We just finished training also. He's getting ready for a fight. I think that, so we're preparing for that, and it'll be great. He's going to start the new year off right. He's he's invited to Errol Spence Promotion with Man Down Promotion.
Wow.
So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Wow.
Love it. Derrick, once again, we know you're as busy as anybody in the sport, so we really appreciate you taking the time.
It's my pleasure, man. Anytime. I'm always here with you guys. I know you all very knowledgeable about what you're talking about, so I enjoy it.
We try.
Yeah, we try. We try to be like you, Derrick.
I always say, man, shoot for the skies, not the ceiling.
Facts.
Yeah, that could end. You shoot for the ceiling, that could end badly. Yeah, I hear you.
Right. Yeah.
Derrick, thank you as always, man. We'll be in touch soon, man. All the best to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, guys.
You better watch who you're talking about. Running your mouth like you know me.
Tank Davis is a 3-division champ and the knockout king. But hard-hitting Isak Pitbull Cruz wants his shot.
Cruz is en fuego.
Now the division's top dog wants to prove why he leads the pack. December 5th, it's Tank Davis versus Isak Cruz live from Los Angeles on pay-per-view.
All right, it's time for the week in review. Some great fights last weekend, but none better than the PBC event on Showtime Saturday night, a unification bout between two prime, undefeated 122-pound champions, Brandon Figueroa and Stephen Fulton. What we witnessed was a seesaw battle back and forth that ended in Fulton winning a 12-round majority decision, unifying the WBC and WBO titles. But really, there were no losers on this night. Mike, what did you think of the fight?
Well, not many fights live up to the hype, and even fewer sort of exceed the hype. I think you can argue this one exceeded the hype. It was better than I thought it would be, mostly because, Figueroa was better than I thought he would be. Once again, I don't know how that's possible. I keep underestimating this guy, but he was. Let me be clear. I expected him to push Fulton, but he really pushed Fulton hard. It was a great fight.
Yeah, it certainly was. Now, what about the decision? What was your take?
I thought the decision was spot on. Two judges gave Fulton 8 rounds, as did I. I had it 116, 112. Now that doesn't mean the fight wasn't close. It was. I could see 7 rounds to 5 or even a draw. Figueroa was busier, but I thought Fulton landed I know this is a common thing, but this is what I thought. Fulton landed the cleaner, more precise shots. Even during many of the inside exchanges, he did that. Figueroa called it a robbery afterward. I think that came out of frustration, in the moment. In my opinion, it was far from a robbery.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It was a close fight. Could have gone either way. You know me. I don't score fights upon first viewing, but I got the sense that Fulton won the fight, was shading some of the rounds. Was this the fight of the year so far, in your opinion?
It was a great fight. Certainly a candidate for fight of the year. It's got to be in the list of finalists. I just think it's going to be hard to top Fury and Wilder 3. Huge heavyweight fight. Both guys went down multiple times, and that fight was just absolutely nuts. That was like an epic. This one was terrific because of the sustained action. It just never stopped. I mean, it was just a frenetic pace. So this one definitely has to be in the top couple of the year.
I tend to agree. Would you like to see a rematch?
I definitely like to see a rematch, but under normal circumstances, I just don't think it's going to happen. At least not at 122. Figueroa is moving up to 126. It's clear. Where I think he could be. I think he could actually be stronger because he won't have to struggle to make weight. I really think he could be better at 126, which is kind of scary for the featherweights. And I think Fulton is going to focus now on becoming undisputed champion at least sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I could see the rematch happening somewhere down the line. I really do think we're witnessing a renaissance in terms of these 122, 126 pound divisions, and like how Barrera and Morales didn't rematch that at different weights, we'll probably see the same thing here with Figueroa, Fulton, and throw a whole bunch of other guys in the mix. Now, assuming they do fight again, what can Figueroa do differently in the rematch in order to win?
I think essentially nothing, and he was himself, and he turned in a strong performance. I think any changes would be subtle. Figueroa is going to be Figueroa, a guy who just keeps pressure on you from beginning to end. He threw over 1,000 punches in that fight, and he came pretty close to having his hand raised. I think a couple of rounds had gone his way. I think things would have been different. He just ran into a guy who could handle the pressure and fire back effectively. I think Fulton is a special fighter.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Is he special enough to have earned a spot on the pound for pound list?
Well, the talent is certainly there, and how he's winning these big fights, I think, helps his cause. I think he's on the cusp right now. I think maybe 1-2 more big wins probably would make it impossible to keep him off the pound for pound list.
Yeah, I've got him on the list. I think he slips in based on what we saw here. I mean, the guy's beaten 10 undefeated fighters in 20 fights. That's just unheard of. I mean, he's beat guys like Adam Lopez and so many others early on in his career, and then you tack on what he's done the past year, and it's an extremely impressive fighter. Now, if not a rematch, what should be next for both fighters?
Well, for Figueroa, I don't think there's any messing around. It's a top 10, 126 pounder, and I don't think he, with his style, I don't think he needs to ease into the division like some guys would. Pretty much pick anyone except Gary Russell Jr. and Figueroa is competitive, maybe even in that fight. But obviously that wouldn't be the first fight. I'll tell you one matchup that I love. I don't know how it might work weight-wise, but Figueroa and Leo Santa Cruz would be crazy. That would just be a war, wouldn't it?
That's
maybe fight someone like Tug Nyambayar, somebody like that would also be a lot of fun to watch. For Fulton, again, I was critical of Canelo, but I still like the going for undisputed championships. I would target Akhmadaliev for the undisputed title. That's the ultimate prize, I think, right now. If not, I like a matchup with Daniel Roman, which is a tough fight for Fulton. I really think that Roman's a good fighter. Rais Salim is another possibility. He just won on this card. I would say Ray Vargas, but he's the top challenger for Russell's title, so maybe that's going to happen. Bottom line for me, both guys, Figueroa and Fulton, are still on the rise. It's going to be fun to see how far these guys go.
Yeah, definitely. I love all the names that you've mentioned for both guys, and I really love the Danny Roman fight for Stephen Fulton. Now, you brought up Ray Salim, the unbeaten super bantamweight contender. He was on the co-feature, overcame a pretty stern test from Eduardo Baez to win a 10-round majority decision. What was your take on the action there?
It was an entertaining back and forth fight. I thought Alim had a tough time. He took quite
Yeah,
a few shots, but we shouldn't be too surprised, really. Baez is a tough, awkward guy who knows what he's doing in there. Baez also might have surprised Alim a little bit by boxing more than anyone expected. Like, he threw like a third of the number of punches that he normally throws, which was a surprise. Alim wants the big fights. I don't know how he would do against a guy like Fulton based on what I saw on Saturday, but I still like Alim. He can box. He fights with controlled aggression. He's a tough guy. We'll see what happens with him.
yeah. I think he proved his mettle, if anything, in that fight. Very, 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 very tough fight against Baez. What should be next for him?
Well, he called out Fulton, which does make sense. He's ranked number 1 by the WBA, I believe. So he's right there. He could go after. I guess Akhmadaliev is the WBA title holder, so he can go that direction too. I don't know. Otherwise, he's a legitimate opponent for any top 10 guy.
Yeah.
Maybe Angelo Leo would be a good fight.
I like the Leo fight. I also
Yeah.
like Louis Neary. I think that'd be a good fight as well.
I thought
Neary
Neary. I
wants to
didn't know
come
about
back.
his weight. I didn't know about his weight though. But
Yeah,
I thought about him too. Maybe Roman if he doesn't get the
right. Those are
So
all great
that,
fights. So,
that's a lot of guys.
yeah, you can mix and match any of those guys. Now, in the televised opener, unbeaten Gary Antonio Russell won a 10-round majority decision over Alexandro Santiago. Man, 3 majority decisions in one night. That might be a first. Anyway, Mike, what did you make of this one?
I was a little surprised that Santiago made it so close, to be honest. But maybe I shouldn't have been. Santiago, he's evolved into a good fighter. Remember, he drew with Jerwin Ancajas 3 years ago, which is saying something. Ancajas is good. Russell is a really good, polished boxer, and he showed some dog at times on Saturday, which I really appreciated. He's not like his brothers, Gary Jr. and Gary Antoine, who have different styles, but he's good. I wonder about his power and maybe to some degree his fighting spirit. That really isn't meant as a criticism. It's just kind of his style. He's just kind of like a pure boxer. I don't know. Maybe a true brawler will bring something else out of him. The skills are there, though. The guy's a really skillful guy.
I mean, I think, again, in that division, so many good fights. Honestly, I don't know who I'd like to see him face next.
Well, he's ranked by a couple of the sanctioning bodies, so he's near a title shot. I think his next fight could be a big one, or certainly a bigger one. I mean, I thought of Rashid Warren, possibly. I think we're talking about a guy at that level. Russell's 28 years old. I think it's time for him to take a big step.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I agree. It sounds like he's ready for that as well. Now, back on the East Coast, there was a huge upset as Teofimo Lopez suffered the first loss of his young career and lost his unified lightweight title in the process as George Kambosos Jr. pulled off one of the year's stunners, winning a 12-round split decision in an entertaining scrap. Both guys tasted canvas in this one. Mike, what was your take on Kambosos' performance?
I thought it was terrific. He had said repeatedly before the fight that he was better than Lopez, and he went out there and proved it. I'm not saying he's necessarily better, but it wasn't just empty words. He went out and did it. The guy has ability, unwavering confidence in himself, and he was just absolutely locked in, which I don't think you could say for Lopez. I thought he outworked Lopez in a smart way, and he took everything that Lopez threw at him, including that late knockdown. He got up and he had that was in the 10th, and he had strong rounds in 11 and 12. I think it was an excellent breakthrough performance for this guy. He deserves all the credit in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, threw a great quick jab hook, nice use of distance, the timing. He showed heart, confidence, and also credit to his trainer, Javier Centeno, for a brilliant game plan. I thought Kambosos showed it all. Where did Lopez go wrong?
Now, where didn't he go wrong? I think he had a lot of things going on outside the ring. I'm not one for excuses. I'm just sort of making an observation. All the postponements, which obviously Kambosos had to deal with too. Lopez got COVID-19, problems with his handlers, personal problems beyond that. And he's young. He doesn't necessarily have the maturity to deal with all this stuff. So when it came down to fight, he just seemed out of sorts to me. For example, a pound for pounder doesn't open the fight the way open fight, just winging punches looking for a knockout. He looked kind of amateurish. He really did. And then during the fight, I just thought he was waiting too much, looking for that big shot or two. Meanwhile, Kambosos was busy winning rounds. Now I have to give Lopez some credit, though. I think we do. I think he rallied in the second half of the fight. It just wasn't enough to have his hand raised. I'm guessing Lopez will have learned a great deal from his experiences before and during that fight. We'll see how he applies those lessons going forward. He's still a good fighter, though. Obviously, the talent is there.
Yeah, talent's absolutely there. I think he read his own press clippings a bit too much, but even more so than him, I really think that his father and trainer, Teofimo Lopez Sr., was a major part of the problem. You kind of mentioned that you weren't sure what Teofimo was doing, sort of looking for one punch, and the game plan was bad. And I think that the issue was Lopez Sr. I saw an interview which really bothered me, where he said, yeah, now we can't say that we're better than Floyd because because of what happened last night. Floyd can say that he's better than us. And I thought to myself, well, Floyd's not thinking about you guys, and why are you guys thinking about him and better than Floyd? Are you out of your mind? And so it just really made me wonder where his head was at. And another thing that made me wonder was the team saying that they were robbed. What was your take on that?
It's an interesting observation. I heard some people talk about making some changes on the team. Maybe big changes. We'll see how that plays out. The thing about him saying he was robbed, that was sort of a common theme on Saturday, wasn't it? Lopez wasn't robbed. I gave Kambosos 7 rounds. I really believe the Aussie deserved to have his hand raised in that fight. I could see a draw, though. Honestly, it felt like a close win. Competitive win for Kambosos, though. A robbery, though, no. That's definitely not what happened. These guys just get frustrated when they hear the decision, and they're super emotional. A lot of times they're young and they don't know how to handle it. And I just wish they would just. Let's put it this way. I'll look at it. I'll turn this over on the other side. I admire guys who just sort of like, okay, this is what happened. The judges saw what they saw, and I'll come back, and be better next time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was a robbery at all. I thought Kambosos won pretty clearly. In fact, I mean, even he had that one round where he was dropped, but then he got up and pretty much dominated the next two. Who would you like to see Kambosos face next?
Wow, Lopez again, if he doesn't move up in weight. I would be curious to see how things would go if Lopez was in a better frame of mind and fought a smarter fight, which you sort of alluded to a bit ago. If that doesn't happen, I don't think it will. There are so many possibilities. The winners of, there's 3 big fights coming up. The winners of Devin Haney, Jojo Diaz, Tank Davis and Cruz, Lomachenko, Comey, the winners of any of those winners could fight Kambosos. And Kambosos has all those belts, so he's gonna be a really appealing opponent for that reason. So he's in a really strong position. He's gonna get a big fight really soon.
Yeah, one way or the other against somebody. He's definitely getting it. Now, what about Lopez? He says he's moving up to 140. Can he be successful there?
Sure. Once again, he has the ability, and hopefully for his sake, he'll emerge from the setback as a better fighter. The obvious question is whether he can carry his strength and power to 140. It might be like Figueroa. He might feel stronger at 140. It might be a little bit more difficult for him to adjust because I think maybe he relies a little bit more on his punching power, but we'll see. But I don't think one loss suddenly means the guy is no longer an elite talent. I mean, I want to make that crystal clear. I think this guy's a special fighter, and I think if he can get his act together, I think he has a lot more success in his future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the talent is there, as you said. I don't know if he could beat a Josh Taylor, but he can certainly make some noise at 140, and I don't expect Taylor to be at 140 much longer. So Teofimo can certainly pick up a title there. We will see, and we will be right back.
You better watch who you're talking about, running your mouth like you know me.
Tank Davis is a 3-division champ and the knockout king. But hard-hitting Isak Pitbull Cruz wants his shot.
Cruz is en fuego.
Now the division's top dog wants to prove why he leads the pack. December 5th, it's Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz live from Los Angeles on pay-per-view.
We are back, and it is time to go toe-to-toe. This week, we are going to choose the top 5 hardest punchers in the sport today. Of course, we're going to go in ascending order. Mike, as always, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm just going to jump right in with my number 5, Naoya Inoue.
Ooh.
Inoue's high knockout percentage might be primarily the result of his just off the charts all around ability. He's just so good and so fast, so quick that his opponents just get overwhelmed, I think, and eventually they get stopped. But I think the punching power is there, though. The leverage he gets on his shots and the speed with which he delivers them just discombobulates the guys he fights. It'll be interesting to see whether he brings his power with him as he continues to move up in weight, if he does move up in weight, but I think the guy can crack.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. He's absolutely on my list. I will get to him in a little bit. My number 5 kind of struggled a little bit. I almost had Artur Beterbiev here. I suspect he'll be on Mike's list. But ultimately, I chose this person over Beterbiev because I feel he's fought a better quality of opponents, and he's had more fights. So we've had a chance to see more of his power, and that is none other than Jermell Charlo. Ever since connecting with Derrick James, the guy's been lights out, or putting people's lights out in the ring. Bottom line, take a look at his resume and what he's done. We saw what he did to Tony Harrison. Even he has stopped 8 of his past 10 opponents, dropped 9 out of his last 10, and the other guy who didn't get dropped, Brian Castano, he got hammered quite a few times, and he was hurt several times. And we saw the knockout against Jason Rosario, Jorge Cota, the first round knockout against Erickson Lubin, the bludgeoning of Charles Hatley. Jermell Charlo, number 5 on my list.
Yeah, I thought about Jermell. That's a good call. Jermell's a little bit like Inoue, I think. He's got the skill level, he's got the quickness, and when you have those things, and you land these hard punches, or it makes it easier to land these hard punches, and when you do, they really do damage. It's hard to argue with the evidence that you just presented. He's one of the hardest punchers in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's your number 4?
So my number 4 might seem a little unusual, but I feel good about my choice. Jaron Ennis. I think Ennis's power might be overlooked to some degree because of his all-around ability, his flashy style, but it's definitely there. He stopped 26 of 28 opponents, including Thomas Delorme in 1 round in his last fight in October. And of his 26 knockouts, 15 have come in less than 2 full rounds. To me, that means he doesn't necessarily need time to break you down. He can, and he often does end your night with 1 shot.
That's a really good pick. I love the Boots pick because he definitely hits hard. Now, I still like to see him do it against a higher level of opposition, but there's no doubt that guy packs power in both fists. We saw what he did against Delorme. Like you said, we saw what he did against pretty much every single opponent he's faced. So love the pick for him at number 4. My number 4 is none other than Saul Canelo Alvarez, who has shown power throughout his career, but right now in his prime, really settled into the weight, and he is hurting guys with 1 shot, body shots, head shots, left hooks, right hands, you name it. Canelo Alvarez is definitely one of the hardest punchers in boxing, and definitely one guy you want to stay away from his shots when they're coming your way.
Right. Obviously the guy punches real hard. It's a little difficult for me to gauge how hard he punches, because he doesn't hurt. He doesn't knock out the very best guys that he fights. All those guys go the distance with him. The one exception being Sergey Kovalev. But he didn't. I don't think he really hurt Golovkin. I don't think he really hurt Jacobs. I could go on and on, but he destroys guys at the next level. But in his defense, when you fight that many top elite guys, you're just not going to knock out everybody. So right. I agree with you. The guy can really crack, and he really knows how to set it up.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. What about your number 3?
Well, you mentioned him a little while ago, Artur Beterbiev. The light heavyweight champ, as Derek just reminded us, has stopped all 16 of his opponents. His last 2 opponents reached the 10th round, which made him seem as if he's an actual human being. He still has a perfect knockout percentage, though, even as his competition has improved, which says something to me. I don't know if he's like a 175-pound version of Joe Louis or Ernie Shavers, but I think he has heavy hands and the ability to use them effectively. He fights Marcus Browne in a few weeks. Browne is a slick boxer. He could also punch. On top of that, it'll be interesting to see, whether Browne can take his shots.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't advise anyone to try and take his shots.
He has no choice. He has no choice. It's gonna happen. We'll see what happens.
But certainly a fight between two explosive guys, and I thought Derrick James made some great points about Beterbiev. I like him on your list. My number 3 is someone you already mentioned, Inoue, who. Another guy with two-fisted power, but also with the technique, ring IQ, and just all-around know-how to know when and how to fire those shots. I just think he's a brutal puncher. We saw what he did in his last fight, which was knocking somebody out to the body. I mean, he can knock you out to the head. He knocked out Das Marinos to the body. Just truly an impressive fighter. Knocked out Emmanuel Rodriguez in 2 rounds, who's one hell of a fighter. Knocked out Juan Carlos Payano in 1 round, who's another excellent fighter. Jamie McDonald in 1 round. I mean, what can you say about this guy? And Anita Donaire, who went the distance with him, ate a lot of shots and tasted the canvas. So, Inoue, number 3 on my list, and I think make a good case that he's even higher.
Yeah, the thing with Donaire, that was, first of all, it was Donaire. He's first ballot Hall of Famer, but I still go back to the fact that his eye socket was broken. I think what he did under those circumstances was amazing. He might have stopped. Sure. He might have stopped Donaire had that not happened, but who knows? I love Inoue. Might be the best fighter in the world. Certainly right there.
Brilliant fighter. Let's go to number 2. I'll kick this one off. My number 2 is none other than Gervonta Tank Davis. 25 wins, 24 losses, closing in on number 1 pretty quickly, if you ask me. He's shown the power through 3 divisions, 130, 135, and 140. Can do it to the head, can do it to the body as well. Seen him knock out Barrios and Cuellar to the body and knock folks out with his right hand and his left hook upstairs as well. Special fighter, pound for pound talent, and also one of the most explosive punchers in the game, if not the biggest puncher in the game.
Right. I knew we would have the same numbers, 2 and 1.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't positive what the order would be, but for me, 2 and 1 probably couldn't have been much easier. My number 2 is also Tank Davis. He uses a combination of positioning, just ridiculous speed, which maybe people don't think about a lot, and then just sheer strength. I mean, the dude's strong to destroy his opponents. The positioning, I think, gives him ideal leverage. The speed makes it like impossible for his opponents to see the shots coming, and they just, once he sees them, they're there in a split second. And then his God-given power just finishes the job. Tank once told me that accuracy is the key to his power, hitting the bullseye. I think that's true. If his punches land just right, as they often do, they're as damaging as any in the sport, pound for pound.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're in agreement there. Again, he's closing in on number 1 really quickly. I assume we have the same guy, number 1, the Bronze Bomber.
Yeah, I still think Wilder is the king when it comes to one-punch knockout power. We've just seen it so many times. One moment Wilder's, sizing up his opponent, and the next moment, the guy's flat on his face and the ref's waving his arms. His right hand is like a gunshot. And as we've discussed in the past, his delivery system, his ability to set up the big shot is really underrated. That's not easy to do, but he does it fight after fight after fight. Yeah. I genuinely believe that this guy is one of the biggest punchers of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that he's doing it against guys 20, 30, 40 pounds heavier than he is every single time out is just really, really insane and extremely impressive. And that's why he's number 1 on my list, because it's not just the fact that he'd be on the list anyway, I mean, for what he's done, but the fact that these guys are all significantly bigger than he is, and he's still flattening them is so impressive. Deontay Wilder, I'm going to agree with you. Bronze Bomber, definitely one of the hardest hitters in boxing history. And that is going to do it for this week's show. Of course, we want to thank Derrick James, as always, for joining us. A reminder again, guys, Sunday night, PBC on Showtime pay-per-view, the return of the pound-for-pound superstar, 3-division champ, the undefeated Gervonta Tank Davis, taking on the hard-hitting, hungry and young Isaac Cruz. And that's part of a stacked 4-fight lineup on the televised pay-per-view show. Cannot wait for that, and cannot wait to get with Mike again next week to talk all about it and much more right here on the PBC podcast.